Here they come.
Welcome to another episode of Here They Come. I'm Kate Lockhart.
And I'm Paul Ramlow.
And we're going to bring you all the best in harness racing. This past weekend we had Valentine's Day, Paul, which is always special for the ladies, but this weekend it was special in particular.
First off, at Pompano last Saturday, they held their Sweetheart Lady Drivers Race. And a good friend of ours and former co-worker, Jamie Rucker, was the winner, piloting Cast British to a 159-1 triumph in the race at Pompano. And of course, Monticello Raceway had their 8th annual Lady Godiva Pace on Monday, February 15th. The winner was Jennifer Lappe, driving a horse named Polyester to a victory by 1 1/4 lengths in a time of 2 minutes and 3/5.
I thought it was great. In the Lady Godiva Pace, Jennifer Lappe said she began thinking about the chocolates and finished an easy winner. And then after the race, she turned and said, the other girls can have some of the pizza, but the chocolates are off limits. That's definitely a lady after my own heart.
Our guest this week is Dean Hoffman, member of the Communicators Corner of the Hall of Fame and former longtime editor of Hoofbeats magazine and a good friend of mine for more than 20 years. How you doing today, Dean?
I'm doing great, Paul. Good to talk to you.
You too as well. Dean, let's start off with a couple things. I know you recently went over to France to see the Prix d'Amerique. Tell us a little bit about your trip over there.
Well, it's a trip that I've made several times. I go with a tour group over there, and it's a great way to introduce people to how different French trotting is than American trotting, and to the wonders of French trotting. I think it has the strongest harness racing program in the world, but when you tell people that the Prix d'Amerique is a race with 18 horses, that gets their attention right away, and then you tell them that they're racing 1 5/8 miles, and they're racing over a track that's a little uphill and a little downhill, and that there's no starting gate used, and there are no assigned post positions. You just fight for your post position. And I think after you tell them that, they begin to realize how truly different this style of racing is.
Now, later this month, Stan Bergstein will release the trotting experimental ratings in Hoofbeats magazine in the March issue. Why don't you give us your thoughts on who you think some of the top 3-year-old trotting colts will be in 2010?
Well, I think you have to look at Lucky Chucky simply because of his connections. They've been there so many times before. Trainer Chuck Sylvester, driver John Campbell. That doesn't guarantee anything, but that combination has been pretty lethal in trotting stakes over the last couple of decades. They've been to the Hamiltonian. Chuck certainly knows how to prepare one. Of course, a few years ago, there was a horse called Diesel Dawn, who's actually a big brother of Muscle Hill, and he had a very impressive 2-year-old season, and I thought that he might be the Hamiltonian winner, but it just didn't work out. So obviously there are no guarantees, but there's a colt that Irv Miller trains called Il Villaggio that I saw that was very impressive, had a little problem in his last start. Also, there was a colt that Dwayne Miner raced, kind of a small colt by Conway Hall called Wishing Stone, and I saw him race a couple of times in Lexington, and he seemed to have a lot of punch, but you know, it's a big step to make the adjustment from ages 2 to 3, and certainly I don't think we have any colt here that's going to follow in the footsteps of Donato and Dewey and Muscle Hill. That's a pretty extraordinary trio.
Yeah, that's absolutely the case. And on the pacing side, in the experimentals that were just released in February, it was Sports Rider number 1, All Speed Hanover number 2, One More Laugh number 3. What do you think of that trio?
Well, it's hard to fault Sports Rider. He did get beat there at the end, but I mean, he did all the work and he did everything right. So I certainly can't fault him. Once again, tough to come back. He wasn't raced that many times, but every time he went to the post, he had to work hard, and yet he's a horse that seems to thrive on hard work. And I like a colt called Malicious too, that Dr. Ian Moore that had Shadow Play that won the Jug a couple of years ago. He's got. I think we could maybe see some improvement from Malicious in 2010. And then Jimmy Tector has a rock and roll Hanover colt called Rockin' Image out of Kiki Katie, who was such a good mare herself. And I would not be surprised to see either Malicious or Rockin' Image kind of nudge their way in among the top ones this year.
Yeah, Rockin' Image was rated number 6 and Malicious number 8 in the experimental, so Stan obviously has a feeling that those will be some pretty good horses this year too.
Right.
Okay, Dean, we appreciate you taking the time to talk with us. Look forward to seeing you down the road at some harness racing tracks soon.
Always a pleasure to talk to you, Paul.
Thank you very much.
One of the ways I like to keep on top of what's happening in harness racing, Paul, is by following the different blogs that are available on the internet. And one of my favorites to follow is called Inner Workings of a Breeding Farm, and it's a blog by Adam Bowden, who's the owner of Diamond Creek Farms in Kentucky. Now that the breeding season is sort of fully underway, Adam has gotten back into blogging, and it's always fascinating for me to see what's going on at the farm, where they are in the breeding process. He talks about right now he's trying to get some mares in foal, and some mares were ovulating, and so he's trying to coordinate shipping the semen in from different farms and where to pick things up.
Yeah, absolutely. I've learned quite a bit from reading Adam's blog, and it's definitely one of my must-reads every time I see a new post.
Yeah, if you'd like to check it out, it can be found at innerworkingsofabreedingfarm.blogspot.com.
Dr. John P. Hurtgen, the father of modern embryo transfer, died earlier this week while helping a mare to foal at his Nandy farm in Pennsylvania. Dr. Hurtgen, 62, is reported to have collapsed while assisting in the foaling, and a heart attack is suspected. A native of Wisconsin, Dr. Hurtgen opened Nandy Farms in New Freedom, Pennsylvania in 1983. A member of the USTA, he was elected in 2007 to the board of directors for the Pennsylvania Harness Horsemen's Association.
President of the PHHA, Sam Beagle, shared his thoughts on Dr. Hurtgen.
Him and Earl Beal, who just passed away a month ago, and myself were great friends. And the three of us talked on a regular basis, and we were all on the board of directors of the PHHA. And when Doc got on the board, he was a great asset. Very, very, very intelligent man. He loved the sport. He was just gung-ho about everything about it, and loved for breeding season. When it would get over, he couldn't wait so he could go and watch his horses race. Everything he done was for the betterment of the sport.
Well, thanks, Mr. Beagle. That was great. I really appreciate you talking to us, and again, I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Next up, Nicole Krafts chats with Medellin statistician Bob Hollywood Hayden in the Hollywood Minute, brought to you by Hoofbeats Magazine, reporting with horsepower.
Holly, busy weekend coming up at the Meadowlands. What's on tap there?
Well, we have one final on Friday and three on Saturday. The Cape and Cutter goes on Friday night. Good field. Now, Saturday we have three finals. Really good betting action here. Exit 16W. Woodstock has got post 4 and draws inside his main competitors. He's a big fan favorite. Liz Mara's brother, Liz again, is right outside, post 5. Majestic Jackpot. This is son of Caesar's Jackpot, history's first sub-50 time trial mare. Post 9 is Pacinello, already a series final winner here, and Jim Doherty trains. And Real Joke has post 10, Tough Assignment, made a miscue last week as the favorite, so we'll see who wins that very hotly contested field. And maybe the best winter race of all for Pacers might be the Aquarius, the 24th edition, the North America Cup favorite, Keep It Real. Got post 2, Mark Ford sending out a couple of major contenders. River Shark went all the way last week. He was a major player early last year on the sophomore scene. He's going to try it again. Handsome Harry, the other Ford entrant, is post 5. And Go-Go Solano in a short but select field, post 7.
Well, Bob Lewis is still trying to stump you, Holly, so let's see whether he can get the job done this week. He'd like to know who were the Hambletonian winners sired by Speedy Crown.
I know Speedy Somali is one, 78. And Practice will be another in 85. That was the record for a sub-55. And I'll try Armbro Goal was my other Speedy Crown. I think Armbro Goal in 88 was also a Speedy Crown.
Once again, you are a winner. Bob's going to have to keep trying to stump Bob.
Well, it's hey, listen, you got to get him a little tougher than this. The season's going along. We're going to step it up, just like I said.
You said it. All right, well, have a great weekend there at the Meadowlands, and we'll talk to you next week.
Okay, great. Talk to you then.
Thanks, Bob, for that insight. If you'd like to stump Bob Hollywood Hayden, feel free to send your question to hoofbeats@ustrotting.com. And if we ask it on the air and you stump Bob, we'll send you a USTA prize pack. Big news out of New York this week. Star Valley Double Double, a Parson Russell Terrier, won Best in Breed at the Westminster Dog Show. How is this related to harness racing, you might wonder? Well, the dog is co-owned by Dr. David Fitzpatrick, a longtime state vet at Balmoral Park. I'd like to offer congratulations to Dr. Fitzpatrick on this exciting win.
That's it for this week's edition of Here They Come. I'd like to thank our guests, Dean Hoffman, Sam Beagle, Bob Hollywood Hayden, Nicole Krafts, and Rich Johnston at the controls. Thanks for tuning in to another edition of Here They Come. I'm Paul Ramlow.
And I'm Kate Lockhart.
Please join us again next week for Here They Come.